Good morning. Hello. It's a bit of a pain about the trains, isn't it? But what can you do? Hey. So yes, hello. Let me get to the right slide. No. Technology, eh? There we go. Right. I think we're ready. Hello, my name is Tom Fielder, and I am one of the directors for local software engineering firm Switchplane. So at Switchplane, we build custom software. So that means we build apps. So apps for your smartphones, apps for your desktops, web apps, that kind of thing. And the apps are custom built, designed to help your business become more operationally efficient. So taking maybe a complex task that your business has to carry out, a complex process, we can build an application that helps to de-skill that process, simplify it, so that anyone in your team or a new starter can follow the process fairly easily. Maybe you've got compliance in your business and the same kind of thing applies there. Or maybe you have a mobile workforce. You need to get these guys or people to go and collect data while they're out on site. The trouble with that is that they have to use paper maybe, and what we can do there is replace it with an app. So instead of paper, use an app. And the app then can feed that data back to your office somewhere. So that cuts out a whole load of overhead and it's better for the environment. Or maybe, you just have the spreadsheet. So every company that I've ever been to has a master spreadsheet, which both they're equally in measure proud of, but also in great fear of. They don't want anybody to touch it, but simultaneously they want everyone to use it and put all the information in it and get all the reporting out of it. But no, please don't touch it because you'll break it. So what we do is we take things like that. We take the spreadsheet and we turn it into something beautiful, like an app like that, that can simplify the spreadsheet, give you better reporting. So that's kind of what we do at Switchplane. And ultimately, those things help you to scale your business. But these days, every conversation I have with anybody always ends up as a discussion around AI. What can AI do for my business? What am I missing out on? I don't understand it. Can you please help me? Now, the trouble with those questions are that the answer depends, because AI, it's an umbrella term, like vehicle, right? I don't ask you, what vehicle should I use to get to America? You're not going to tell me, yeah, scooter, that'll do. The trouble is, I can't give you an answer unless I have more information. I need to know company size. I need to know, other things like your industry that you're in. More importantly, I need to know the problem that you're actually trying to solve. So it's very difficult to come somewhere like this, where we've got varied set of people, varied set of industries, different sizes company, and that kind of thing, for me to give you sort of like a silver bullet, because there isn't one. So my objective today, really, is twofold. So first of all, I want to raise the baseline ever so slightly, baseline understanding of what AI is. Because at the end of the day, AI is a tool. And if you know how to use that tool just a little bit better than somebody else, that gives you that competitive edge. And if you can tell your team or educate your team, if your team know how to use it better than other people's teams, then that's a multiplier. Ultimately, you get that competitive edge, and it gives you that leg up. So that's my first objective, just give you that little extra baseline. Some of you in the room are going to be well educated on this for sure, and maybe this isn't right for you, but hey, for the majority of you, I hope I can just increase that baseline slightly. The second objective for me is to inspire you. So there's a lot in the world of AI, and it's quite scary. I can understand that, it seems like it's a big magic box, and you're not really sure what it does, and you're kind of almost steering clear of it. That strategy isn't going to work. You're going to have to get stuck in. And so my objective here is to simplify it a little bit. It's not, the maths and stuff, put that to one side. That's complicated. You're not doing research into AI. You're using the tool. And that's what it is. It's a tool. So I want to inspire you to go away from today and get stuck in. Have a go. Use it. Because AI is a tool. And so when we think about the tools that we use, cast your mind back to when you used Google for the first time. If you were searching for, say, petrol prices in Eastbourne, you would probably say something like, what are the petrol prices at garages in Eastbourne? You'd be asking some long-winded question, and you'd get some results. But over time, you changed your behavior, and you started saying to Google, or questioning Google, petrol prices Eastbourne. So you filtered out the nonsense, that sort of fluff that wasn't necessary. Now, ironically, that's the machine training you. So in that scenario, you're almost like the AI. So you've learned how to use that tool and more effectively. Obviously, these days, the irony is it's gone full circle. AI is everywhere, LLMs are everywhere, so you can ask those more natural questions. Kids these days, they don't know what they've missed. So, but to make it fun, because AI, it can be dry and it can be complicated, I want to make it fun. So instead of going into loads of detail about probability and analysis and all this equations and all that kind of stuff, I want to just talk to you very simply and just tell you a story about how I've used AI to defeat my nemesis. So, like many of you, I have a nemesis. You may not even realize it. It's a petty thing, probably. You think about your journey to work. There's probably someone that vies for your parking space. It's your parking space. It doesn't have your name on it, but it's yours, right? You know it's yours. There's that person. They're your nemesis. Or maybe there's someone at your co-working space that takes your hot desk. It's your hot desk, not theirs. Or maybe they don't fill up the coffee pot after they drain it. Or you're in an office, you're playing that thermostat tennis with someone. That is your nemesis. That's the level of petty that I'm talking about here today. So I have a nemesis, and it all started around sort of COVID times. We had to close our office. We had to, start working from home, all of that kind of stuff. So there I am. I'm sat working at home at my desk, and I look out the window, and he's there. I can see him staring at me. There's somebody there, thinking, it's a bit weird. But, COVID times are weird, right? So I think nothing of it really. I just move on with my life. But then over the coming sort of days, weeks, I'm seeing him more and more. And it's starting to just weird me out a little bit. So I think, right, well, I'm just going to talk to my wife. So this guy, he seems to be hanging around a lot. And she said, yeah, he's here all the time. He's like, given half a chance, he'll get in. I'm like, what? What are you talking about? He tries to get in. Yeah, he has no job. He's got no responsibilities, no kids, no nothing. And I'm thinking, okay. She said, police aren't interested. Neighbourhood watch, those guys, they don't care. We're on our own. So he's terrorising us, literally terrorising us at this point. So let me introduce you to Milo. Milo is our neighbour's cat. He likes spending his time at our house, not their house. He likes to eat our cat's food, because we have 2 cats of our own. And he likes to come in our house, and he likes to roll around on our sofa and put his hair everywhere. I'm not a cat hater, don't get me wrong. Like I said, I've got 2 cats of my own. I don't hate cats, but it's a bit annoying, right? So whenever we leave a window or door open, so obviously with the summer just gone, doors and windows are open, he's in. And he gets to their cat bowls, and he knows exactly what he's doing, because as soon as he hears me coming or hears me say, Milo, he's gone. So he knows he's not allowed, but he does it anyway. So I'm thinking, okay, well, need to do something about this. And the issue is that, like I said, he's eating their food and leaving his hair everywhere. So exhibit A and B here. Now, one big problem that we're having with him is, because you might say, look, it's not that much of a big deal. He eats a bit of food, leaves a bit of hair, just move on with your life. Close the doors, close the windows. And you're right, that's fine. Yeah, like I say, I'm not a cat hater. But the trouble is, he comes in the night and he starts meowing at 3 o'clock in the morning. So now suddenly, I am a bit more of a cat hater, specifically a Milo hater. Okay, so I'm thinking, right, I've got to do something about this. And we close the windows, we close the doors, we're on top of that, but yet he's still getting in. So I'm thinking, right, well, how is he even doing this? Now, we have cats of our own, like I said. We have one of those cat flaps that has a scanner in it. It scans the cat's microchip. If the cat's on the allowed list, it's allowed in. Otherwise, it's locked. So we're closing windows, closing doors, but how's he getting in? It must be through the cat flap. But I've got no idea how he's doing it, because I'm not there at the cat flap just watching. So, yeah, I invested in a camera. And so I present to you Exhibit C. So, mold is forcing their way out of the camera. And who's doing it? So what he's done is he's figured out that if he waits for one of our cats to leave or one of our cats to come in, he can literally stand on the way back in. So he's figured that out. So I'm kind of, at this point, I'm impressed, but also annoyed, in equal measure. So this cat, is clearly a smart guy. But I'm thinking, right, you're a smart guy, but I've got 20 years experience in tech, and I'm going to beat you. So I have what's called a home lab. So it's a server, basically, running at home. And this awful screenshot here shows you just some of the things that I can do with my home lab. Here I can turn lights on and off. I can monitor the temperature in different rooms. I can see how much power we're generating from solar panels and battery storage and all that lovely stuff. And in addition to that, you can see there's a camera feed right there. So what this means is, with my home lab, I can integrate that camera with my server. And what that means is that from my server, I can send myself a notification when motion is detected. And so that's where I started. A small little, half an hour of work? I apologize for a boring flowchart, but this is where it was. We had motion detected by the camera, that sent to the server, and then server sends me a notification. Quick! A cat has been detected. And that's what it looks like. It pings me on my watch and on my phone. Half an hour, simple, bit of automation, great. But, it doesn't end there. There were false positives. This was any cat. So anyone who has cats knows they come and go like nobody's business, and they come and go at night as well. So I was getting this ping all the time. And occasionally I'd press on it and it would be Milo on the camera. Off I go. Milo. No, I didn't kick him, but felt like it. But he would run. So it worked, but the issue was when I'm not at home, I would get my notification. So I was working at Foundry in town, co-working space, and I would get the notification and I would click through. And of course, who is it? Milo, he's sat there. He's sat there staring at me whilst eating their food. And I literally can't do anything about it. So at this point, I don't know whether my solution is actually any good. I'm thinking, this is worse. At least before, I was, blissfully innocent. The food would be gone. Could be Mog, could be Milo, could be Cookie, who knows. But now I actually have evidence. I watch him while he eats, thinking, brilliant. Okay, I need to do something about this. I need to up my game. So, roundabout way of saying, get to the point. Now here's some AI. So I'm thinking, right, I have my software solution, I've got my basic integration, I've got some automation set up. So my next step is I need to somehow figure out that A, it's Milo, not one of my cats, and then B, I need to do something about it. You know, I can't be working at Foundry and yes, okay, it's Milo, great, yeah, he's eating the food, brilliant. I need to do something about it. So, I mean, I have all of the components for an AI solution, okay? I have my input. So I have my camera, which has the motion detection, and it has the video feed. I have a server that lets me do some processing locally. I have lots of training data, so we've got pictures of cats, especially Milo, Mog, and Cookie. So I've got pictures of these guys. So they're all the components that I need to put an AI solution together. Excellent, I'm thinking, brilliant, I can do this. Pretty easy, really. The second question was, well, what do I do with that information? When I find out that it's Milo coming in, what do I do? Or when I detect Milo? I mean, I don't have a sprinkler system, but I could invest in a sprinkler system. The trouble with that is that you would have collateral damage and maybe take out Mog or Cookie at the same time. And I don't want to upset those guys. Like I said, I'm not a cat hater, honestly. So the second option, well, I could use the RoboVac, but I mean, I don't know whether he's afraid of that. And that thing, I don't know, it's temperamental. You know. So I settled on the idea of a Wi-Fi speaker, basically just playing my voice, because he's scared of me. Milo, that's it. That's all I needed. Just play that on a Wi-Fi speaker, and hopefully that would be enough. So I settled on that kind of solution in my mind. And so I gave it a name, because you have to give things a name, and I settled on the Nemesis Observation and Ongoing Detection Logic Engine, which is also known as Noodle, because I like a fun name. Now, I don't know how easy that is to see, but it's just an overview of the solution. So, again, we've got the motion detected. That notification is sent to the server. The server processes that notification, and it requests a still image from the camera feed. So it's always receiving that feed from the camera, just takes a still image from it. I don't need a video stream at that point, I just need one image. Request the image from the camera, and then send it to my AI. So when I programmed the AI, I sat down and spent a couple of hours working on this solution, training it with the data, the images of the cats, and so on. And during my testing, what I found was that if I gave it a picture of Mog or Cookie, it would say, yeah, there's 40% chance of that being Milo. When I gave it a picture of Milo, it would say, yep, 80% or more. And that's how AI works, by the way. It works on probabilities. So even if you use ChatGPT and it says, yes, I'm absolutely certain that this is true, I promise you it's not. It's maybe 90% sure. But that's how AI works. It gives you a probability of something. So my probability being, in my testing showed that 80% or more was Milo. Great. That's pretty big difference between 80 and 40. I can be confident that if we're 80 plus, it's Milo. So that was my solution. So I would feed that still image from the camera, give it to the AI, and it would give me a response. So if it was less than 80, I would just take no action. And then if it was 80% or more, I would still send that notification, and I would trigger the Wi-Fi speaker. So at this point, I've got a working solution, or I think I have. I've not been able to test it, because obviously Milo, I can't just make him come in when I want. He's on his own clock, on his own schedule. So I'm sat there working at my desk, because obviously I've got a lot of work to get through now, because I've spent all my time invested in this. So I'm sat there working, and I'm just waiting. And then, of course, I cannot describe to you just the feeling of elation that went through my entire body when I heard my own voice say, Milo. And that was that. That was just that moment when I discovered, yes, it actually works. Because I would run out and check, yeah, it's definitely Milo. Definitely, it's actually worked. And I was just so excited. I had to go and tell somebody about it. So I went to my wife. I was like, God, you've got to check out my noodle. She was very impressed. And so that's how I defeated my nemesis. And this is where you can applaud, because hooray for AI. Get off. Okay, right, moving on. So, what is my point? What have we learned? So, AI is a tool. It's a tool to be used like any other tool in your arsenal. If you can learn how to use it better than somebody else, then you have that competitive edge. That's really important. Software engineering is like the plumbing. It connects the AI solution to other parts of your system, okay? Yes, there's sort of standalone AI where you feel like you're going to ChatGPT, that's a thing, but really, you're obviously talking a web service that's connecting to an AI somewhere and feeding data to you. So the software engineering is what ties it all together. It's like that plumbing. And then AI, ultimately, is what makes good software great. So I feel like it's almost like you get one of those cats, make America great again, make software great again. You give it AI, and that's what does it. It's like the supercharger. It turns your, I don't know, Ford, Cortina, I don't know anything about cars, into something incredible. And that's what AI does for software. We take those real complex challenges about identifying objects or whatever it may be and simplifying it, and giving us a sort of true or false kind of answer or a probability, like I said. So you imagine difficult or complex tasks, similar to the Milo story, where maybe you've got a food factory. I was on a tour of a food factory a few months ago, and they have different coloured coats for people to wear, depending on which part of the factory they're in, all to do with sort of allergens and stuff. You don't want any cross-contamination. And that's a clever idea. So I'm thinking, right, what could you do with AI to help you with that problem? Because it's still up to someone to spot that someone's gone into the wrong place with the wrong colour coat. So again, if you had a camera, yeah, okay, ethics aside and spookiness and freakiness, weirdness, put that aside. But if you had a camera that could take a feed, throw it to AI, and AI says, yeah, somebody with the wrong colour coat is going into this area, notify everybody. You know, put the ethics aside for a second. That could save somebody's life, you know, or it could save a whole batch of food, I don't know. There are other possible solutions as well. You know, we look at drones flying over vineyards, looking for signs of disease on the vines. You know, this is all kind of possible stuff and doable as a human. But the point is, it would take a human ages, and they would probably switch off after a while. They wouldn't spot stuff. The AI doesn't care. It's happy to keep going. So how does it work? So to understand AI is to understand our own thinking. Now, that was said by someone very profound. And it's really important to think critically about your own thinking. So how do you actually make decisions? How do you really think about the possibilities? How do you weigh those up and make your decisions? And this is how AI works. So again, I've got a little flow chart here. So on one side here, we've got the human, and then on the other side, we've got AI. And it all starts with, what's the problem I'm trying to solve? Okay, so we have a problem that we're trying to solve. Maybe you're going to the supermarket, you need to pick up some tinned tomatoes. Okay, so you look for a sign in your environment. So that's your input data, okay? So you take input data to the AI solution. So what's your input data? It's the signs around you, what you can see, hear, smell, all of that kind of stuff. That's the same data that you would give to AI. And then you use your knowledge and experience, your hopes and dreams, your beliefs and values. Those things steer your decision-making. Your previous knowledge, oh yeah, I know where the tomatoes are. I've been here 100 times. That's fine, I know where they are. But then, of course, what happens if you just rely on your knowledge? They've moved them because that's what they like to do, don't they, in the supermarket? They like to move stuff around. So if you rely purely on input data or purely on knowledge, then you're going to potentially fall into that pitfall. So we rely on our built-in, our core model, and that's what an AI model is. It's based on training data, and it's, what we would say parameters or weighting. So that's like core components to our thinking, I suppose. And then from that, you make a prediction, right? You say, oh, okay, based on the evidence, the sign saying tin tomatoes that way, I'm going to probably go that way. So just very quickly, I want to give you an example. So predicting genre for music. It's a pretty complex task, actually, for an AI, for a software solution. And I want to play you two pieces of music very quickly, just 10-second sort of clips. One of them is White Stripes, Seven Nation Army. I'm sure you'll be familiar with that. And then the second one you might not be so familiar with is Bruckner's Fifth Symphony. So hopefully my tech team over there are going to be able to play that. Hopefully. One press and then it should come up with the thing, and then you press the thing. Nope. That's it. Is it going to play? Okay, so I will attempt to mimic the sound. So you will probably have heard the tune. Dun, 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 dun. How was that? All right, round of applause, thank you. That's the biggest round of applause we've had all day. Yeah, okay, so that's the tune of Seven Nation Army. Now, the issue is that Bruckner's Fifth is essentially the same, but it's flute. So it's high pitch, the tune is almost identical. So that's where they've obviously, stolen it from. Now, if we were to compare those two pieces of music, one's that kind of, rock song, so skipping to the end there, it's a genre, right? You would tell me, yeah, that song is a rock song, right? And then the other piece of music, that's going to be a classical piece of music. But how did you come to that conclusion? Because you can do it in an instant, especially with that classical music. You can say, yeah, that is definitely classical. Now, we can't rely on the title alone. Maybe we can, because you can say symphony, that's probably classical. But what about Bittersweet Symphony by The Verve? Okay, so you can't rely purely on the title, but maybe because it's got the word fifth in front of it. Okay? So, what we do is, run out of slides apparently, what we do is we categorize data internally. Whether you know it or think it or decide it yourself actively, that's really what you're doing. Subconsciously, you are pulling all of those data points together. You're saying, yeah, okay, what's the title of the track? What's the tempo? What key is it in? Are there vocals? Is it purely instrumental? What's the loudness? All of those data points, you're pulling that together without even thinking, and then instantaneously you're saying to yourself, that's classical. Or you're saying, that's rock. And that's what the AI is doing. We have to pull that data out of that music, establish those features, those data points, and by doing that, the AI is able to draw conclusions. It's able to tie data together. As humans, we like to describe things in a rule of three. We'll say, yeah, that's a lovely stage, there's nice blue lights, and there are some chairs on it. I don't know, right? That you like a rule of three. AI loves much more than that. It'll go hundreds, thousands, okay? And that's what allows it to make really good decisions, really good They give you really good insight into stuff. So, to sort of wrap up, we can broadly put AI solutions into sort of three kind of categories. You've got AI as a service, which you'll all be familiar with. That's tools like ChatGPT. So you've got all sorts of different types. And I encourage you, if you just take a picture of that or just do research for yourself, there are hundreds of these tools out there. You can get loads and loads of productivity out of these. And often you can get free trials or even they're completely free. So give those a go. And they're the AI as a service. So that is available to everybody. Doesn't matter about your resource. If you've got a web browser, you've got that AI as a service. The second kind of category is more like an integrated AI. So that's when you've got AI built into your piece of software already or into your process somewhere. Okay? So that could be like document analysis, where you're, I don't know, reading reports about something and you've got to produce some kind of output. If a human was to sit there all day reading reports, it can be, time-consuming, cumbersome, they make mistakes. Feed that to an AI, that's great. And if that's automated, you've got some kind of integration. The third is more like a custom AI. So custom is where you're one of the big guys. You're trying to solve fundamental problems in our world. Like, drug discovery is a great one. So, they're not using ChatGPT to try and figure out what the next COVID vaccine is going to be. They're training models. They're running a huge amount of medical data to try and figure out what drug discovery looks like in the future. So the fourth that's not really on here is more like the big guys that are doing the research, OpenAI. So those kind of people that are pushing the boundaries, trying to de-skill this ultimately, or produce models that work for the general public, making it available to us all. And so really, that's it from me. So like I said at the start, I hope that it's not too technical, right? It's just raised your baseline ever so slightly so that you're in a position where you can understand just a little bit more about how to use AI and get the best from it. And hopefully, technical issues aside, because I know probably everyone was looking forward to Bruckner's fifth, technical issues aside, I hope it's inspired you to go away from here today and get stuck in. What's the worst that can happen? Yeah? Nothing, really. So, without further ado, please go away, use AI, and defeat your own nemesis. Okay? Thank you very much.